In a world
As you
where
can
power
see
and
from these
privilege collide with
projections,
secrets and
our
vengeance,
growth is
prepare to be gripped by
exponential.
a tale of betrayal,
Impressive.
redemption, and shocking revelations. A rich man fires a black woman after getting her pregnant. 24 years later, a man enters. His office will pull you into a whirlwind of emotion and suspense, unraveling a story that spans decades and exposes the raw truths of human ambition. Don't miss a single twist. Subscribe now to dive into this unforgettable narrative and stay hooked for more epic stories that challenge the heart and mind. In the heart of Manhattan, 2001, the skyline shimmered under the weight of ambition, and none embodied it more than Charles Wentworth, a 40-year-old real estate tycoon whose name was synonymous with wealth and ruthlessness. His empire, Wentworth Properties, owned half the city's most coveted buildings, and his office on the 72nd floor of a glass tower was a throne room of power. Charles was a man of sharp suits and sharper decisions, his blue eyes cold as the steel frames of his skyscrapers. He trusted no one, loved no one, and lived for the thrill of control. Into this world stepped Aisha Thompson, a 28-year-old black woman from Harlem. Hired as a junior assistant in his firm, Aisha was brilliant, with a degree from Howard University and a fire in her soul that made her stand out in a sea of gray suits. Her skin glowed like polished ebony. Her laughter was a melody that softened even the sternest boardroom, and her mind was a steel trap for numbers and strategy. Charles noticed her immediately, not for her talent, but for her presence, a spark that both intrigued and unsettled him. Their affair began in secret, hidden behind late-night meetings and stolen moments in his penthouse. Aisha, though cautious, was drawn to Charles's charisma, mistaking his attention for affection. For Charles, it was a game, a conquest to pass the time. When Aisha discovered she was pregnant, her world tilted. She told Charles, in a quiet moment, hoping for a flicker of humanity. Instead, his face hardened. "This can't happen," he said, his voice like ice. "You're fired. Leave tonight," Aisha pleaded, her voice breaking as she spoke of her dreams, her future, and the child they'd created. Charles was unmoved. He handed her an envelope with $10,000 and a non-disclosure agreement, threatening to ruin her if she spoke. Devastated, Aisha left, her dreams shattered, her heart a wound that would never fully heal. She returned to Harlem, where her mother, Grace, a nurse with a spine of steel, helped her rebuild. Aisha gave birth to a son, Malik, and vowed he would never know the cruelty of his father. Charles, meanwhile, moved on without a backward glance. He married Evelyn Harper, a socialite whose pedigree matched his wealth, and they had a daughter, Charlotte. His empire grew, his name etched deeper into the city's foundation. But Aisha's memory lingered like a ghost he couldn't exorcise. In Harlem, Aisha poured her love into Malik, raising him with stories of resilience and the strength of their ancestors. She worked 2 jobs, cleaned houses, and tutored at night, ensuring Malik had every opportunity she'd lost. Malik grew into a brilliant, determined young man, his mother's fire in his eyes. Unaware of the shadow of his father's wealth looming over his life, years passed, and Aisha's pain hardened into resolve. She never told Malik about Charles, shielding him from the truth. But fate has a way of unraveling secrets. In 2025, Malik, now 24, was a rising star at a tech startup, his coding skills earning him a reputation as a prodigy. His life was steady, his mother his anchor, until a chance encounter at a tech conference changed everything. A woman named Clara, a former employee of Wentworth Properties, recognized Malik's face's eyes, his jawline an eerie echo of Charles Wentworth. Clara, bitter from her own firing years ago, dropped a bombshell. She'd overheard Charles talking about a problem with a woman named Aisha years back. Malik's world tilted. He confronted Aisha, who, tears streaming, told him the truth. Rage and purpose ignited in Malik. He wasn't just a son, he was a reckoning. Malik's life became a mission. He researched Charles Wentworth obsessively, learning every detail of his empire, his deals, his weaknesses. Charles, now 64, was still a titan, but cracks were forming. His daughter, Charlotte, 20, was a spoiled heiress with no interest in the business, and Evelyn, his wife, was more focused on charity galas than family. Wentworth Properties was facing scrutiny for shady deals, tax evasion, gentrification scandals, and whispers of fraud. Malik saw an opportunity. He didn't want revenge. He wanted justice. He enrolled in an MBA program, funded by scholarships and his own grit, and networked with the city's power players. His charm and intellect opened doors, but his heart burned with a singular goal: to confront the man who'd discarded his mother. By 2025, Malik had landed a job at a rival firm, Sterling Enterprises, under the mentorship of James Sterling, a black entrepreneur who'd clawed his way up from nothing. James saw himself in Malik, hungry, sharp, and unafraid. Malik confided in James about his past, and James, who'd long despised Charles's cutthroat tactics, became an ally. Together, they devised a plan. Sterling Enterprises was bidding on a massive redevelopment project in Brooklyn, a deal Charles desperately wanted to cement his legacy. Malik proposed a strategy to undercut Wentworth Properties, not just to win the bid, but to expose Charles's dirty dealings. He spent nights poring over financial records, unearthing evidence of bribes and falsified reports. The deeper he dug, the more he uncovered a web of corruption that stretched back decades, including the firing of Aisha to cover up Charles's indiscretion. Meanwhile, Aisha watched her son's transformation with pride and fear. She'd rebuilt her life, becoming a community organizer in Harlem, fighting for affordable housing against developers like Charles. But Malik's obsession worried her. "Don't let hate consume you," she warned. Malik promised he wouldn't, but his anger was a fire she couldn't extinguish. At Sterling Enterprises, Malik's work caught the eye of Sophia Nguyen, a journalist investigating corporate corruption. Sophia, fierce and relentless, saw Malik as a source and a partner. They grew close, their shared drive, forging a bond that teetered on romance. Sophia uncovered a bombshell. Charles had bribed city officials to secure permits, and one official, now retired, was willing to talk. Malik realized this could destroy Charles, but it could also destroy him if his connection to Aisha came to light. As the Brooklyn bid deadline approached, Malik orchestrated a meeting with Charles, posing as a consultant from Sterling Enterprises. He wanted to see the man up close, to gauge his enemy. The meeting was set for the 72nd floor, the same office where Aisha had been fired. Malik prepared meticulously, his mother's pain fueling his resolve. But a twist loomed. Charlotte, Charles's daughter, had begun questioning her father's business. Overhearing a heated call about the Brooklyn deal, she stumbled across files hinting at her father's past name, Aisha Thompson, buried in old records. Curious and disillusioned, Charlotte began digging, unaware she was about to unravel her family's darkest secret. On a crisp September morning in 2025, Malik stepped into Charles Wentworth's office. The glass walls framed the city like a trophy, but Charles looked diminished, gray hair thinning, eyes tired. Malik introduced himself as Michael Turner, a consultant, his real identity hidden. Charles, dismissive at first, sensed something off in Malik's piercing gaze. The meeting was tense, with Malik probing about the Brooklyn deal while Charles deflected with practiced arrogance. Malik dropped subtle hints, mentioning past mistakes and forgotten employees. Charles's face paled, but he maintained his composure, unaware that Sophia's article, detailing his bribes, was hours from publication. Outside the office, Charlotte was piecing together her father's past. She found Aisha's non-disclosure agreement in a locked drawer, along with a photo of a young woman with eyes like her own. Shocked, Charlotte contacted Aisha, who agreed to meet at a Harlem cafe. Aisha, now 52, told Charlotte the truth. Charles was Malik's father, and Charlotte's half-brother was out there, fighting a war against their father. Charlotte, torn between loyalty and disgust, decided to help. She leaked internal documents to Sophia, amplifying the coming storm. Aisha, reluctant but proud, gave her blessing for Malik to finish what he'd started. Back in the office, Malik's questions grew sharper. He mentioned Harlem, loyalty, and family. Charles snapped. "What do you want?" Malik leaned forward, his voice low. "Justice for Aisha Thompson." The name hit Charles like a bullet. He stammered, denying everything, but Malik laid out the evidence dates, payments, the firing. Charles's empire was crumbling. Sophia's article hit the presses that afternoon, sparking a media frenzy. Charles lunged for the phone to call his lawyers, but Malik stopped him. "I'm your son," he said, voice steady. Charles froze, the truth ablaze through his heart. Malik walked out, leaving Charles to face the ruins of his legacy. That night, Malik and Aisha embraced in their Harlem apartment, the weight of years lifting. Sophia's article named Charles but protected Malik's identity, framing him as a whistleblower. The Brooklyn deal went to Sterling Enterprises, and Charles faced investigations. But a final twist emerged. Charlotte, now an ally, revealed she was stepping away from her father's empire to work with Aisha's community organization. She wanted to atone, to build rather than destroy. Malik, wary but hopeful, saw a sister he might one day know. Months later, Charles Wentworth's trial dominated headlines. He lost everything: his company, his reputation, his family. Evelyn divorced him, and Charlotte distanced herself. Finding purpose in Harlem alongside Aisha, Malik, now a partner at Sterling Enterprises, led projects to revitalize underserved neighborhoods. His mother's dream realized. He and Sophia grew closer, their partnership a quiet strength. Aisha, once broken, stood tall, her son's victory her own. But the story didn't end in triumph alone. Malik visited Charles one last time, in a sterile visitation room. Charles, broken and gray, begged for forgiveness. Malik didn't offer it, but he didn't curse him either. "Live with it," he said, walking away. The city moved on, but Aisha's legacy grew. She opened a community center, funded by Sterling Enterprises and Charlotte's Trust Fund. Malik taught coding 2 kids from Harlem, passing on his mother's fire. The story of a black woman discarded by a powerful man became a legend of resilience, a testament to those who rise despite the odds. And in the quiet moments, when Malik looked at his mother, he saw not just a survivor, but a warrior who'd given him the strength to rewrite their story.